celebration is called United We Walk. It brings together people of all races and ages to remember the dream and the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Hello everyone and welcome to the third annual West Bloomfield United We Walk celebration. Today is Monday, January 20th, the official federal holiday marking the birth date of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The walk here in West Bloomfield is rather symbolic because, as you know, Dr. King marched throughout the South for civil rights, for equal rights, and what we're doing now in West Bloomfield is trying to keep his dream alive. We're here in the gymnasium of West Bloomfield High School. Everyone is getting ready to bundle up and go outside for the 1.7-mile walk. We'll return here. We're going to listen to some music, the West Bloomfield Marching Band. There's also a breakfast here at the Media Center and in the cafeteria here at the high school. All sorts of little things going on, good things, lots of people, lots of fun, lots of unity. Is new with the West Bloomfield schools, but boy, did you really jump right in and get involved in this United We Walk. I guess it really is a bigger deal than what you expected. You did a lot of publicity for it.
Very much so, Charlene. What's really struck me about the United We Walk events is the deep level of student involvement. Not only are students, of course, featured prominently on the program today, but they've been involved in planning the activities, as you know. There's been a student planning committee, and they have had input into the kinds of activities that we're going to present to the public today.
I guess it's been a real initiation for you, too. In addition to all of your normal duties as the information person for the schools, you've played a big role with the publicity. Very much so. It's been another opportunity to get to know various members of the community and to have a greater understanding of the deep level of multiculturalism that exists in the West Bloomfield community. The number of languages that are spoken and the number of countries that are represented amongst our students here at the high school and throughout the community. It's been very rewarding. A lot of people think, well, it's just one day and it's a symbol and then it's over with. But don't you think there's a lot of carryover because people really do learn so much about each other? Very much so. I think that the kinds of themes of unity and brotherhood that we'll demonstrate today, anyone who's in the high school or any of our school buildings throughout the district throughout the year sees the same kind of student cooperation and working together throughout the year. Dr. Grutchko, what do you think this entire event really means to the West Bloomfield community as a whole?
It is an effort to teach our young people and our citizens generally to learn to live together.
I think we're doing a pretty good job of that. Third year in a row. Third year in a row. The interest is tremendous. We're getting representation from all elements of the community. We have many parochial school youngsters here today. Like who? From Hillel Day School and St. Mary, Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
And I welcome you and join me as we walk in honor of Martin Luther King and as we celebrate the diversity of our community. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. How are you? You want to
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They're still coming down? Okay.
Well, as you can see behind me, the march is now underway. United We Walk, third annual celebration. There are several generations of marchers today, students from the West Bloomfield schools and surrounding areas, parents, grandparents, little ones, all nationalities. Everything the walk is supposed to be is. It's very successful and the sun is shining, no precipitation. Therefore, it looks like we're off to a great start. People are waving and everything is just working out fine. To the United We Walk celebration. First of all, the actual walk, followed by the breakfast here at the high school inside the media center and the cafeteria. But the biggest part of the whole event is the auditorium program. It's a very well planned, well thought out event, and we're going to take you there now.
Hello, and welcome to our third annual United We Walk Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. Today is a day when we are celebrating our different cultures coming together and uniting under the name of brotherhood and sisterhood.
你好，我是谢一冰，欢迎你来 United We Walk， 然后多谢你们今天早上跟我们走。Hi, my name is Kevin Say. Welcome to United We Walk, and thank you for walking with us this morning. I represent the Chinese dialect of Mandarin.
શુભ સવાર, મારું નામ ખુઝેમા રાજા છે. યુનાઇટેડ વોક માટે સ્વાગત કરું છું. અમારા વાસ્તે ચાલવા માટે ઘણું આભાર. Good morning, my name is Khuzema Raja, and I welcome you to the United We Walk. Thank you for walking with us. I speak the Gujarati language of India. Thank you.
Boker Tov, Shmi Eliana Toyson.
Shmi Shali Shoshana Fisher.
Boker, Bruchim Abayim Yachad Anachnu Tzodim. Todah Shebatim Alechet Itanu.
Good morning.
My name is Eliana Trayson.
And my name is Shoshana Fisher. Welcome to United We Walk, and thank you for walking with us.
We speak Hebrew, the language of Israel.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Lara Mirkin. Bienvenidos a Unidos Caminamos. Gracias por haber caminado con nosotros. Good morning, my name is Lara Mirkin. Thank you for walking with us.
السلام عليكم وصباح الخير. اسمي صفية صالح. نحبكم إلى United We Walk. أهلا وسهلا. Good morning and peace be on you. My name is Sophia Soleil and thank you for walking with us.
Jumbo, Karibuni United We Walk. Hello, my name is Alina Fears. Thank you for walking with us. I speak Swahili.
Здравствуйте, мое имя Роман Резников. Добро пожаловать на Объединенный марш. Я представляю русский язык. Hi, my name is Roman Reznikov. Thank you for walking with us this morning, and I represent the Russian language.
Shalom Aleichem. Shimi Jason Kaduk Shanab Gavochen. Emen Hudaya Brachshach. Kanochen Besimta Derechishlochen Emen. Hello, peace with you. My name is Jason Cato. Welcome to United We Walk, and thank you for walking with us. I speak the Chaldean language.
The multicultural welcome is symbolic of how we, with our unique characteristics and differences, can still come together and work towards making Dr. King's dream of a life without national origin, color, creed, or racial barriers come true. Today has already been such a wonderful day with the Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Mr. Mark Essenfeld. Let's give them a hand. And also under his direction, the concert choir and the drum corps kickoff at the beginning of the walk. Let's give them a hand also. Now the West Bloomfield High School Vocal Department will perform for us under the direction of Miss Debbie Barrows. Please stand for the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Standing all in wonder of those who've gone before, marching saints and heroes who make our spirits soar.
The daily demonstration, they laid it on the lawn for future generations and all of humankind.
Keeping the dream alive, keeping the candles burning, we will light the way. There will be no turning, 'cause we've got so much to share. We got hope to spare, so we're keeping it, keeping the dream alive. The earth slowly wakens to a new and brighter day. We pledge from this day forward to find a better way. We take what they have taught us and do our daily part. It's all that makes it happen, and it's right here in our heart. So we're keeping the dream alive, keeping the candles burning. We will light the way. There will be no turning, 'cause we've got so much to share. We got hope to spare, so we're keeping it, keeping the dream alive.
believe in it, keeping the dream alive. We're keeping it, keeping the dream alive. We believe in it.
We can take our passion,
We're keeping it,
and we can make it happen.
we believe in it.
We can take our passion,
Keeping it,
and we can make it happen.
we believe in it.
We can take our passion, we can make it happen.
We believe in it.
We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we can make it happen. We can take our passion, we
Thank you, vocal department. That was wonderful. Now to continue on with our program, Please join me in welcoming the West Bloomfield School District Superintendent, Dr. Seymour Grechko.
On a chilly morning in the autumn of 1956, an elderly, toil-worn Afro-American woman in Montgomery, Alabama, began her slow, painful 4-mile walk to her job. It was the 10th month of the Montgomery bus boycott, which had begun with a life expectancy of 1 week. The old woman's difficult progress led a passerby to inquire sympathetically if her feet were tired. Her simple answer became the boycotters' watchword and one of the watchwords of the civil rights movement. Yes, friend, she said, my feet is real tired, but my soul is rested. I think as we sit here on this day, there is an opportunity to elevate our thinking, and my job is to welcome you, and I thought I could welcome you in the name of my own experience as an American growing up in turbulent times, or as a superintendent of the school system, but I thought I ought to think about my soul being rested. And so I'd like to welcome you with the words of Dr. Martin Luther King in a speech he made to the American Federation of Labor in 1963, and some thoughts he had on the brotherhood of man. I am convinced that we shall overcome because the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. We shall overcome because Carlyle is right, he says, no lie can live forever. We shall overcome because William Cullen Bryant is right when he said, truth crushed to earth will rise again. We shall overcome because James Russell Lowell was right when he proclaimed truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne, yet that scaffold sways the future. And so if we will go out with this faith and with this determination to solve these problems, we will bring into being that new day and that new America. When that day comes, the fears of insecurity and the doubts clouding our future will be transformed into radiant confidence, into glowing excitement to reach creative goals, and into an abiding moral balance where the brotherhood of man will be undergirded by a secure and expanding prosperity for all. Yes, this will be the day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands all over this nation and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. I welcome you.
Hello, I'm Tara Edwards.
And I'm Dan Tounsel.
And we're the 1997 co-chairs for the Student Steering Committee.
You know, this is the third year that we've done this Martin Luther King Walk, and every year, you know, it just gets bigger and better.
Yes, I know, and over 100 students have participated this year in the walk, and they were such a pleasure to work with.
Going along with the growth in the walk, we've also received a personal letter from Coretta Scott King, as well as a proclamation from the Mayor, Dennis Archer. Dear United We Walk, on behalf of the King Center President, Dexter Scott King, and the King family, I write to send you our warmest greetings and support to all the good people of United We Walk, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday observance as we celebrate the 11th Martin Luther King Jr. holiday with his 68th birthday anniversary. My husband dedicated his life to create a world where future generations could live together in a spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood that transcends racial, religious, cultural, and even political boundaries. It is appropriate then that the theme for the 1997 holiday, Make Real the Dream, frame the vision for the 21st century. Challenges his followers to carry forward the unfinished work into the new millennium. The Martin Luther King Jr. holiday has become a great day for affirming interracial understanding, friendship, and service to humankind, not only in the U.S., but throughout the world. His courage, determination, commitment to nonviolence have inspired freedom and social movements in nation after nation, and continues to offer our best hope for achieving world peace and prosperity to the next century. In celebrating Martin Luther King's life and legacy, let us renew our commitment to the values of love, justice, truth, and nonviolence that empowered this leadership. With your support, the 1997 Martin Luther King Jr. holiday will not only celebrate his life and work, but advance the day when the fulfilled dream of the beloved community will nourish and sustain each new generation. We appreciate your efforts to fulfill the dream, and we wish the best for a joyous and meaningful Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Sincerely, Coretta Scott King.
Proclamation, City of Detroit, Office of the Mayor, United We Walk. And I will just read the paragraph that begins with therefore. I, Dennis W. Archer, Mayor of Detroit, issue this proclamation in appreciation of those who organized the United We Walk event this year. I urge everyone to take the time to make a difference in the lives of family, friends, neighbors, or strangers in our communities. On this day, we remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his own words. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. Signed, Dennis W. Archer.
You know, going along with this theme that the walk gets bigger and better every year, we have, tons of dignitaries and everywhere, and, we're really pleased to have them. And we'd like to introduce some of the dignitaries that are seated on stage, if you don't mind. So if you could please stand when I call your name and remain standing until we know otherwise, I'd appreciate it quite a bit.
Jeddy Hood, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor and United We Walk General Co-Chair.
Hertha Woodruff, United We Walk General Co-Chair.
Dr. Seymour Grechko, Superintendent of West Bloomfield Schools.
The little big man, Dr. Gary Faber, Deputy Superintendent of West Bloomfield Schools.
Reverend Bruce Quatman, President of West Bloomfield Clergy Association and Minister of Holy Spirit Lutheran Church.
Chief Justice Conrad Mallett, State Supreme Court.
Judge Denise Langford Morris, Oakland County Circuit Court.
Ann C. Craigmile, Interim President for Oakland Community College, Highland Lakes Campus.
Kathy Winterhalter, Treasurer of West Bloomfield Board of Education and Co-Chair of United We Walk Publicity Committee.
Officer Tom Stimmel, West Bloomfield Police Department, United We Walk Co-Chair for the walk itself.
Clara Borer, Director of West Bloomfield Township Library.
Jill Jablonski, Executive Director of the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce and United We Walk Co-Chair for the fundraising and correspondence.
Richard Hartzell, Mayor, City of Orchard Lake Village.
Belva Clark, member of the Northern Oakland County chapter of the NAACP.
Suzanne Parker, Community Editor of West Bloomfield Lakes Edition of the Eccentric newspaper and member of the Publicity Committee.
Sharky Haddad, Community Liaison for West Bloomfield Schools and member of the Walk Committee.
Stephen Wasco, Information Services Coordinator for West Bloomfield Schools and United We Walk Publicity Co-Chair.
Dr. Kwai Fong Se, Chinese Community Representative.
Sue Orishi, Japanese Community Representative.
Elaine Schoenberger, United We Walk Co-Chair.
Janet McBurney, United We Walk Program Co-Chair and Assistant Principal of West Bloomfield High School.
Ralph Baylor, Mayor of Kego Harbor.
Ziad Dali, Co-Chair from last year's United We Walk Student Steering Committee.
And Shelley Goodman Taub, Oakland County Commissioner, and this is her third United We Walk.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Michelle Mirkin, a senior at West Bloomfield High School, with her poem entitled, What Do You Say?
Few freedom fighters have had as great an impact on the world stage, let alone American society, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Though many people associate Dr. King solely with the fight for civil rights for blacks. In fact, King's dream was much larger in scope. When he was tragically murdered in the spring of 1968, he was groping toward an all-embracing movement for freedom for all Americans. King's impact on society, through the Montgomery bus boycotts, the sit-ins, the nonviolent marches and protests, is still felt very strongly today. This poem does not tell the story of a great leader's deep and passionate beliefs, but instead asks what we, as a united community and as individuals, must do to make that dream a reality. What do you say? Martin Luther King said, "Your moral progress lags behind your scientific progress. Your mentality outdistances your morality. Your civilization outshines your culture." And I say, you can turn on your computer and download practically anything heartwarming in these days where 11-year-olds can email Santa. But you can't even turn on the television without seeing a report on some unthinkable, inhumane act that is so commonplace it fails to shock anymore. Just because you may not see the injustice every day doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Just because you're not the one screaming racial slurs or discriminating against a race doesn't mean that it's not there. What do you say? Did you sacrifice some lunch money to give to charity today? Martin Luther King said, "America is reaping the harvest of hate and shame planted through generations of educational denial, political disfranchisement, and economic exploitation of its black population." And I say that's a lot of fancy words for a fairly modest idea. By not concerning ourselves with the injustice around us, we let it grow until it is like a permanent weed in the lives of people we claim to be our brothers and sisters. As grateful as you all must be for what you have, there are people out there just as grateful to get through the day without being oppressed. What do you say? Did you speak out the last time you witnessed an injustice today? Martin Luther King said, "The good neighbor looks beyond the external accidents and discerns those inner qualities that make all men human and therefore brothers." And I say a little smile in the grocery store aisle goes a long way. A simple invitation to sit together at lunch can mean the world. A quick attempt at conversation can mean a lifetime of broken stereotypes. Some people just do not know better than to hate. And if you think hate is catching, you should see love. Love is understanding. Love is acceptance. Love is goodwill towards all. With the dedication and determination of this community, we can end the darkness with our light. What do you say? Did you walk into the store the other day and see a white person or black person standing in your way? Or did you see a human being? Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And I say, think about the children. If children are taught to love and accept, they love and accept. If they are taught to be intolerant and closed-minded, they will be intolerant, closed-minded adults. The risk is too great to leave this important lesson up to what they might experience in social surroundings. And as I know from experience, children are the experts at the art of eavesdropping. They can pick up comments and bad vibes without even being near you. Now please close your eyes. Imagine your own children, or even yourself, when they were small. All you want to do is keep them safe and secure. Any pain they feel shoots right through you with double the intensity. Now picture some bigoted, ignorant kid treating your child like they are subhuman, calling them names that they don't understand but know are hurtful, spitting in their face, and exuding a hate that is so powerful it can knock your little one over. They are defenseless, but are you? Wouldn't you do anything to erase the confused, defeated look on their face? Wouldn't you love to be able to answer your child as they plead why it has to happen? What did they do wrong? Why aren't they good enough? Well, you can answer the child by making sure that they don't become the bully. What do you say? Did you do or say something today that you would otherwise try to protect your child from? Martin Luther King said, "We must all learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish as fools." And I say, enough said. Choose the right path. What do you say? Did you even try to get along today? Martin Luther King said, "Injustice everywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And I say inaction is negative action. Trust me, if it's their problem, it's our problem. What do you say? Did you shrug off the last news report that unfairly accused your race of something today? Martin Luther King said, "History has thrust on our generation an indescribably important destiny, to complete a process of brotherhood which our nation has developed too slow. The movement for brotherhood must go on." And I say that I'm scared, because it seems as though Dr. King's message is being lost in the shuffle of our busy lives. Don't we owe it to him and to ourselves to carry out the dream he dedicated his life to? I'd like to think that if we all do our part, his goal will finally be realized, a world of peace. Isn't it worth it? All I ask, and all Dr. King asked, is that you think about what you can do or not do to save just one person from injustice. What do you say? Did you do one thing, no matter how small today, to bring us closer to our goal to live as a unified team, a circle of friendship, a support system for each other? Well, if not, don't worry, because you have the rest of your lives to decide just how much you want to live in harmony. James Baldwin said that people are not terribly anxious to be equal, but they love the idea of being superior. And although we can't argue with that, James Farmer makes the better point. He said that equality cannot be seized any more than it can be given. It must be a shared experience. And that is where we come in, as individuals, as families, as a community. Today is a day we must thank Dr. King and celebrate how far we have come. Now it is up to all of us to decide how far we get from here. Thank you. People recognize. I'll say thank you, Michelle.
We have some people in the audience that we would like to recognize at this time. There are many distinguished guests and dignitaries with us today, and we are grateful for their participation.
If at all possible, would the members of the West Bloomfield Clergy Association and any other member of the clergy please stand?
Would elected public officials of the West Bloomfield Township please stand?
Would West Bloomfield School District Board of Education members and other school personnel please stand?
Would all other elected officials and community and religious leaders please stand? We are very grateful for your participation.
Good morning. My name is Mike Schoenberger. I'm a freshman here, and I'm also a member on the Student Steering Committee. I will now introduce our keynote speaker. The Reverend Kenneth J. Flowers of the Greater New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit is known nationally and internationally for his beliefs and dedication of multi-ethnic, multicultural, and human rights issues. I have known Reverend Flowers since his return to Detroit in 1995. Prior to his present pastoral position, he was the pastor of the Messiah Baptist Church in Los Angeles, where he earned a reputation as a community-wide ecumenical leader. I have worked with him to build bridges between his congregation and mine. Reverend Flowers was born in Detroit. He received his bachelor's degree from Morehouse College in Atlanta and his Master of Divinity degree from the Colgate-Rochester Divinity School in Rochester, New York. He has studied abroad and has traveled throughout the world.
He recently returned from Israel, where he was invited by the American Jewish Committee to observe the Middle East peace process. He was one of 12 African American ministers from the United States invited to do so. He has received numerous honors and awards for his contributions to human rights and building bridges. Reverend Flowers has met and dined with Their Majesties the Emperor and Empress of Japan, former Israeli Prime Minister Shimon Peres, South African President Nelson Mandela, and President Bill Clinton. He maintains a close relationship with Mrs. Coretta Scott King and her family, and is in Atlanta today walking side by side with Mrs. King and her children in the National Walk observance of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. He is wearing our United We Walk pin as he walks in Atlanta today. Reverend Flowers encompasses the very ideals and beliefs of Dr. King and is committed to building bridges and unifying communities. He is a truly inspiring man that I am honored to call my friend. Through video, Reverend Kenneth J. Flowers.
To Jeddy Hood and Hertha Woodruff, the general co-chairs of the 1997 United We Walk Planning Committee, Janet McBurney and Elaine Schoenberger, the co-chairs of the program committee, to the entire planning committee, students, parents, faculty and staff, my brothers and sisters of West Bloomfield Township, elected officials, dignitaries, and invited guests. I regret that I'm unable to be with you in person to deliver these brief remarks on the topic, building bridges for the young to cross over. However, I am in Atlanta with my longtime spiritual and social and human rights activist and my second mother, Mrs. Coretta Scott King, at the National March honoring my mentor, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Even though I am not in my home state of Michigan, nor the suburbs of Detroit, this prior commitment does afford me the opportunity to be with the King family and my longtime friends from the Civil Rights Movement here in Atlanta for Dr. King's birthday celebration for the very first time in 10 years. To be back at Ebenezer Baptist Church for the 29th annual ecumenical service earlier this morning brought back fond memories from my student days at Morehouse College and my volunteer days at the King Center. However, please accept my apology for not being there with you in West Bloomfield, and hope that I can be with you next year in that township. As we now celebrate the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., let us never forget that Dr. King himself was a bridge builder. For Martin Luther King Jr. set out to knock down the walls of segregation, racial discrimination, and human intolerance of all kinds in order to build bridges of freedom, justice, and equality for all people. It was his mission to break the chains of economic oppression and political inequities and put America on the right road to become more humane and a just nation. A new bridge would have to be built from the poorhouse to the White House, from the State House to the courthouse, from the church house to the synagogue and to the mosque, and ultimately from your house to my house. Dr. King was not just a dreamer, he was a visionary. He saw the vision of the beloved community where black and white, Jew and Gentile, Protestant and Catholic, and all of humanity would live together as brothers and sisters. It was a community rooted and grounded in love, where justice, freedom, and equality are the norms, and mutual respect and tolerance were the order of the day. And Dr. King actively, through the divine wisdom and power of God, sought to bring this beloved community into full fruition. It even cost him his life. But as Martin said on numerous occasions, if a man has not found something he will die for, he isn't fit to live. And so, young people of West Bloomfield Township and beyond, yes, Dr. King is dead, but his spirit and legacy live on. I now must ask you the question, are you willing to be a bridge builder with someone very different from you? Are you willing to cross that bridge once it has been built? Are you willing to even sacrifice your life for the principles of justice, equality, and freedom in order that all people will be treated fairly and with respect, dignity, and a godly sense of purpose? Are you willing to help those who are less fortunate than you and help empower them to rise above their meager existential situation? Are you willing to build tangible bridges between West Bloomfield and Detroit, Wall Lake and Highland Park, Waterford and Pontiac? But more than that, are you willing to leave the safe haven and comfort and luxury of the suburbs and cross these bridges to the inner cities and build friendships, coalitions, and schools of understanding between you and your peers who are different from you in terms of the color of their skin, their socioeconomic background, and their religious beliefs? Are you willing, young people, to focus not on drugs, gangs, violence, material gain, and suicide, but rather on education, employment, peace, nonviolence, and the unity of humanity? I am aware that these are some tough questions to answer, and it will not be easy. But the sad reality is that these questions must be asked of young people and all people alike because of the new resurgence of racism, anti-Semitism, and other forms of intolerance and hate crimes. The burning of our black churches, the defacing of Jewish synagogues, the Texaco Company racism, the recent rioting of St. Petersburg, Florida, the first and now second O.J. Simpson trial, the 2 Rodney King verdicts, and the 1992 Los Angeles uprising are but recent examples of racial polarization in America. The late Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall said in 1992, "I wish I could say that racism and prejudice were only distant memories, and that liberty and equality were just around the bend. I wish I could say that America has come to appreciate diversity and to see and accept similarity. But as I look around, I see not a nation of unity, but of division, Afro and white, indigenous and immigrant, rich and poor, educated and illiterate. But there is a price to be paid for division and isolation. We cannot play ostrich. Democracy cannot flourish amid fear. Liberty cannot bloom amid hate. Justice cannot take root amid rage. We must go against the prevailing wind. We must dissent from the indifference. We must dissent from the apathy. We must dissent from the fear, the hatred, and the mistrust. We must dissent from a government that has left its young without jobs, education, or hope. We must dissent from the poverty of vision and the absence of moral leadership. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. And so, young people, as we move closer and closer to the 21st century, to the third millennium, the future of America will be in your hands. Will America remain the greatest nation in the world where true democracy and freedom reign? Or will she be both morally and spiritually bankrupt due to her citizens making greater deposits of division, isolation, and intolerance? If we are to honor Martin Luther King Jr. and remember his legacy, then we must do what Thurgood Marshall said: knock down the fences that divide, tear apart the walls that imprison, reach out. Freedom lies just on the other side. With that in mind, let us now pledge to build bridges of love and understanding. Let us pledge to cross these bridges Let us now pledge to unite humanity and to help our fellow man and fellow woman. And when this happens, we will all be able to join hands as brothers and sisters and say in the words of that old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thank you.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce a fellow student whose dedication, devotion, hard work, and talents have contributed so much to this event and program. She has composed a musical tribute to this wondrous day. And so without further ado, may I present Tracey Phillips, performing her original score, Come With Me.
Tracey, that was just simply beautiful. Next, we have for you a student named Hiram L. Williams I. He's a character. He's a good friend of mine, and he's going to give you a good message today. Hiram L. Williams I.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. By the content of their character. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. By Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When I reflect on what Martin Luther King Jr.'s day means to me, I'm reminded of an incident that happened to a 2nd grader. Picture yourself as a 2nd grade student in a new school. Your ethnic background in the entire school. You're the only person of your ethnic background in the entire school. You're nervous. You feel the need to be accepted, the need to fit in. During the first half of your day at this school, you raise your hand and ask the teacher to go to the laboratory. She says no. After continued hand raising, she relents and lets you go with the warning, if you ask again, I'm going to tie you to the chair. You make it through lunch and recess without disturbing the teacher and manage to make a few friends. Later on in the afternoon, you raise your hand to ask to be excused to go to the restroom. Your teacher reluctantly says yes. Upon your return from the restroom, the teacher tells you to get the rope out of the closet. She ties you to the chair. For the next 3 weeks, the teacher keeps you tied to the chair just as she promised. You are released every day before your parents collect you from school. During the time, other parents see you tied to the chair and say nothing to the teacher or principal, so you figure in some way that it must be your fault. Your classmates see you tied to the chair and say nothing. So you stay tied to the chair and tell your parents the bruises on your waist are from the result of your parents being too tight. Eventually, one of your classmates tells her mother what is happening to you. Her mother calls your mother and tells her daughter tells your mother what her daughter told her. When confronted by your mother, you, the 2nd grader, confess what has happened. Ladies and gentlemen, this happened to me. During the 1960s, a man named Martin Luther King Jr. assessed an unjust situation and sought about making it right. He actively worked toward making the situation change. No one asked him to, and he didn't have to. But because he did, civil rights in the United States of America have undergone major changes for the better. Likewise, because of one 2nd grade parent, I was rescued from injustice. In the words of Henry Ward Beecher, every charitable act is a stepping stone toward heaven. I thank that wonderful lady for reaching out to me, the child. For this, I will be forever grateful. Because of her, I didn't develop a hatred for people who shared her ethnic background. Because of her and many like her, I am unable to see human beings as colors. Now, some would think the incidents from my childhood would make me a bitter person, bent out on seeking revenge on the 2nd grade teacher. This is not the case. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy of resistance to injustice was revealed to me before I was even aware of who the man was. Hence, when I became of age and was able to understand who Dr. King was, I was better able to visualize his dream of judging others by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. One incident did this for me. If we are honest with ourselves and honest with others, we will admit to at least one instance wherein a person who seemed very much different than ourselves reached out and helped us when we needed it. They turned out to be just like us, where it really counts on the inside. The charge I make to you is simple. Continue to pass this experience on. Resist injustice without regard to skin color. For skin color is nothing more than a bump in the smooth road of life. It renders you blind to what lies beyond it. You can either stumble over it or go around it and move on. H.G. Wells said it best when he said our true nationality is mankind. Martin Luther King Day is about stamping out injustice and prejudice no matter what the person's skin color or station in life is. Before I leave, I'd like you to look to your neighbor and reflect on these words. I will see you as a person regardless of your skin color, your station in life, or the origin of your nationality, for our true nationality is mankind. I will treat you as I would my actual father, mother, brother, or sister. And lastly, I will respect you and your beliefs regardless of our differences, because after all, there is but one race, the human race. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'm Hiram Williams.
We'd like to thank Hiram very much for sharing that personal experience with us. I know it affected me quite deeply.
At this time, we would like to thank all the students who have been working hard for several months to make this year's United We Walk the best ever.
Will the elementary school students that are with us today, would they please stand?
Abbott Middle School and Orchard Lake School greeters who welcomed you today at the rally. Please stand.
Would the West Bloomfield High School Student Steering Committee please stand?
Oakland Community College Walk Monitors. Will you please stand?
It was because of your work that this program was so successful.
We would like to acknowledge and thank all school personnel who worked hard with us as a united team. Mr. Tom Panacchia, West Bloomfield media consultant and creator of the K-12 United We Walk video.
Miss Marsha Tucker, West Bloomfield High School media consultant.
Mr. Guy Wardell, West Bloomfield student service coordinator and sponsor of SHARE.
Miss Debbie Barrows and Mark Essenfeld for the music.
And all the principals and staff members across the district who helped us with the United We Walk.
We'd also like to give a special thank you to Miss Diane Ferguson and Miss Margot Edwards for their extreme dedication to this walk. They were at every single meeting, all the time, and they were behind us 100%. As well as Mr. Steve Wasco, who made sure our name was spelled right in the newspapers.
Thank you to Suzanne Parker, the community editor for West Bloomfield Lakes Edition. She was in charge of running the essay and art contest. And would she please come up to the stage now?
Good morning. In December, we invited the students in the West Bloomfield Schools community to share with us in their words and drawings what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. meant to them and their thoughts on how to get along in a multicultural community. And I've had the great pleasure of reading these entries and viewing these pieces of artwork, and I've learned a few things about the young people in this community. They are very intelligent, they are very creative and thoughtful, but most of all, I think they have open hearts and open minds, and that's what today is all about. Featured in today's West Bloomfield Lakes Eccentric and on display out in the corridor outside the auditorium are the top 3 selections for both the essay and artwork category. When I read your name, if you could please stand and we'll acknowledge you. For essays, Erica Silverstein, Matthew Wolfson, Lisa Riart, and for artwork, Colleen Carey, Sashiko Ono, and Danny Simona. Thank you to everybody who entered.
All right, our students have one more person we'd like to acknowledge, Miss Jenny McBurney, who went way above and beyond the call of duty. She has dedicated so much of her time to us. We really appreciate it. If you could please come up, Ms. McBurney.
On behalf of the Student Steering Committee, Danny and I would like to present this to you. An award of appreciation presented to Janet McBurney in recognition of outstanding dedication, diligence, and leadership of West Bloomfield High School students. Thank you very much.
And one more thing. Mom, I know it's your birthday. Didn't forget, not counting any years, but just wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
Hold on. We would also like to thank Mrs. Jeddy Hood and Ms. Hertha Woodruff, and they have a couple of thank yous they'd like to do.
You can see I get farther and farther to the end of the program as the years go on, and that's probably just as well. I also wanted to point out on your program, you'll notice that there's a list of sponsors on the back. These are people who very generously have given of their profits in this community so that we can have this wonderful program and do all of the wonderful things that we do here. In addition to those people who are on the back of your program, some latecomers that I need to acknowledge, the Civic Center TV 15, which is the government channel at Town Hall, WBSD District Media Center, WJBK TV 2, New Detroit Incorporated, Holiday AMR Supply Company, Transition TV Show of Jammin' 2 Inc., Your Chamber Today of Continental Cablevision, and Melfar Automotive Group for souvenir buttons. And he's been doing this for years, so it's really wonderful that he does that for us. Those of you who know Hertha Woodruff know that she's a truly remarkable woman. She is I'm just in awe of her. She does everything right. She does it to the detail. She reminds you of everything. She calls you on the phone, thank God, to remind you to do something, because often, you know, if you have a busy life, you don't get to do it. Well, you heard we had the proclamation from Mayor Archer, so I had it framed, and I think it's appropriate that we give it to Hertha Woodruff. Hertha? Thank you.
Each year we say we're going to be a half hour, but we're sorry we've kept you longer. I would like to acknowledge a person in the audience before I proceed. Dorothy Friedel helped us tremendously last year with fundraising, and we'd like to acknowledge her. She was a member of our fundraising correspondence committee, and she's the former executive director of the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Dorothy. Okay. I'd like to thank all of the participants who came out today, because you have made our event very successful, and some of you have been here for 3 years, so thank you. I'd like to applaud all of you for coming out. I'd like to thank all of the adult volunteers who have helped today. They've been busy with the breakfast at the door, so thank you for coming out and giving us of your time. Thank you very much. This year we got so big, we had to hire a professional secretary. Dolores Moratsky and her son, Jim Moratsky, if you're here in the audience, please stand, because you worked around the clock, right? Thank you, Dolores. At this time, I would like to salute a special person, our township supervisor, Jeddy Hood. Jeddy has been committed to United We Walk and has served in a leadership role for the past 2 years. Well, all the youth who participated this year in the program as walk monitors and in the video and the contest with the I Have a Dream wall, selling t-shirts at the breakfast, greeters, so forth, the West Bloomfield High School Student Steering Committee, please stand so Jeddy can see all of the students who participated this year. If you're on stage, please stand. If you're in the audience, please stand. Jeddy, please come forward. Okay. Tara and Dan have a token of appreciation for you.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much. I mean, we have a special township supervisor here who would take the time to play a leadership role. Last year's general co-chair this year. We are so fortunate to have Jeddy as our township supervisor. We are fortunate here in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Thank you so much, Jeddy.
Thank you, Hertha. I'm going to keep these all wrapped up because it's a little bit crisp out there yet. So thank you very much. Thanks, Jerry.
Please don't leave yet. We still have a surprise for you. Hello and welcome. I am proud to be the one who is going to introduce the video presentation of our students. But first, some quick remarks about this video. This video is not about lining up students to share their thoughts about diversity and about Martin Luther King. This video is about students and individuals who decided to take an active role in promoting diversity and race relations in our community. So as you leave this building today, we need to ask ourselves, what are we each going to do tomorrow as far as taking an active role in promoting race relations and improving race relations in our community? So with that, I would like to present this video presentation. Thank you.
That West Bloomfield is holding United We Walk.
It's good that we're doing this because in addition to joining all people of all races, the United We Walk gives something that we all need, and that's knowledge.
I've been hearing about Martin Luther King ever since I was a little kid, and it's so important to me to be able to participate.
It impacts society by simply having a day of peace and atonement amongst each other.
The United We Walk is just one of the many ways to help keep his dream alive.
Martin Luther King was freedom's voice.
He stood up for civil rights and for the way people should be treated, not by the content of their color, but from the way they are inside.
Because of that, people remember him for his work, dreams, and they honor him. It is important to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday because he was a great man with a wonderful dream. Dr. Martin Luther King believed in peace. He wanted everybody to be treated equally.
He stood up for what he believed in. He had the courage to stand alone.
And all he wanted to do is make equal rights for everyone and for whites and blacks to live together.
Basically, I guess what this day means to me is a sense of pride of who I am and where I came from.
And Martin Luther King has a special significance to me because he symbolizes freedom and the equality that he worked so hard to achieve for us. But it's also important to everyone because he also symbolizes the basic good that we're all trying to achieve and the idea that everyone is created equal and that we all should work together in peace and harmony.
I think that he's teaching me to be able to get along with different kinds of people regardless of what background. You shouldn't look at somebody for what their cultural background is, but for who they are as a person.
Yeah. I feel lucky to be at West Bloomfield High School where many of the cultures represented and we are able to get along with each other.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was determined to make his dream of a great America without prejudice come true.
While he was alive, he did so much, and I think that if he could have lived on, our world would be less segregated and a lot more equal.
It's a great way to start off the new year, and my resolution just this year is to get to know as many different ethnic groups as I can.
And I just believe that Martin Luther King taught everybody to be as one, and we all should keep that in our hearts.
Oh, beautiful, vast, spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned our good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood. From sea to shining sea. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his grace on thee. And you ought to love him for it, because he crowned our good. He told me he would. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, Lord, I thank you, Lord.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream. One day, this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners, will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood? I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious races, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of imposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee." Sweet land of liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's cry. From every mountainside, let freedom ring, and if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the